Howdy folks, Little John, and I'd like to introduce you to my latest NEIPA. Yes, NEIPA. I know it doesn't look like it, does it? And there's, well, I don't know if there's much of a story, but I'm going to run through this beer and where we got to. Before I do, quick shout out to Little John's patrons. Guys, thanks for your support. Links down the bottom if you're interested, check it out, see what it's about. If you subscribe to the channel, thank you. If not, yeah, think about hit the subscribe button. That way you'll get notified when any new videos come up, you don't miss anything. And other than that, hit the thumbs up button. All these things help out the channel. So, NEIPA. I'm calling this one my, I can see clearly now, New England IPA. Because, I mean, it's not crystal clear, but you can see quite well, quite clearly, that it's not hazy like it should be. Now, I've sat down, I've done a full video, a whole video of this brew from brew day right through, followed all the way through. I've talked about it on other videos, I've talked about it on Facebook and on lives, where I've kind of followed the process through, the process of the hopping and transfer and all the rest of it to make sure that this beer was not subjected to any oxidation, the bane of New England's all around the place. It's such a beer that's so heavily affected by oxidation simply due to the process of so many dry hop additions, and the biotransformation additions, and when they're happening, and the process of the hops themselves causing oxidation within the beer. So I'd looked at all this, was following the steps I was going to take to make sure those things had been left out. And there's chunks of video on each one. I changed the process as I was going. I originally was wanting to do this in 3 vessels, basically on only 3 corny kegs, and daisy chain them. Upon thinking about that as I was actually going through the process, I thought it was going to end up being a little bit problematic. So I ended up reverting back to just using the all-rounder. And just leaving the top lid loose. Initially the plan was I was going to drop this in, pressurise this, seal her up. At the moment it's not sealed, it's just, the lid's just sitting on loose, just so I can breathe, so it's not building any pressure, just letting the yeast do its thing. Didn't tighten it down initially when I put the beer into ferment, and left it the same way after I'd done the dry hop on the second day. So there was no pressure building in the fermenter at that point. There was plenty of fermentation going on. I had protection from oxygen, and that meant there was no drama with me then on day 5, which turned into day 7, but taking the lid off and adding my second lot of hops. Right, so let's put that lid. Our next lot of hops, that's 30 grams of Galaxy, and what ended up being about 34-35 grams of Mosaic, which is the end of the bag that I had there. So dumping them straight in, and lid back on, and this time I'm going to tighten them down. And at that point then we went through the process of ramping up the pressure and letting it finish off, and then having that pressure so I could do the closed transfer. Did the video on the whole thing, the closed transfer, transferring from the fermenter into the keg, the whole shebang. Sat down. Well, I poured a beer, poured one the day I was actually transferring to the keg. So I bottled a couple of bottles up because I had done, it was originally a, I haven't written it down here, it was about 18 litres into the fermenter originally. So I put 9 litres in a keg and then bottled up 2.5, about 4 litres got bottled up, and the rest was lost to shrub and hops in the bottom of the fermenter. Lost quite a bit, which is, part and parcel of brewing NEIPA. Which is not a great thing on a beer that generally it's going to be the dearest beer you're going to brew. You're going to spend more money on a NEIPA than any other beer you make due to the maximum amount of dry hopping. So losing extra amounts in the fermenter is difficult to do with. It just adds to the effective cost of the beer because you're getting less volume. But something I might look at a little bit down the track. We've been playing around for how to try and minimise that, but to some degree it's just, that's part of the process, and there's not much you can do about it. I think on this one I think I allowed for about maybe 2.5 litres of losses from the fermenter, where it might normally be about 1 litre. I probably didn't get that much, probably was less than that in the end, but and that day the day I transferred into the keg, it was hazy. Looked good. Process had worked. Was happy. And then, so this was kegging day, 28th of August. So, about 3 weeks ago. Then sat down a week ago to do, so 2 weeks in the keg, to sit down and do a tasting video. Tasting day less NEIPA, and I've got to say she's looking reasonably clear. And I poured the beer, and effectively this is what we got. This is actually, it's actually getting a little bit clearer now, a little bit more time in the keg and in the cold. But the haziness had dropped out, so so this is where we are with a beer that looks more like a West Coast IPA than a hazy anything, let alone a NEIPA. But it tastes good. It's got a good nose. Nice juicy notes there. It's a little bit light on, but I didn't, and I'll go through the recipe. I'll link the recipe up into the description, which is something I don't normally do. I will put the recipe down there because it's a bit long and it's a bit hard to come back and sort of wind through it. But yeah, I hopped it on the lighter side, mainly because I didn't have quite as many hops here as I would have liked to do the hops I wanted to use. And I was more looking at that process, getting that oxygen-free process sorted and worked out. So from that point, I'm happy with that because the process, how I did it, did work. my timings were a little bit off, and that was just simply because other shit was going on. And whether that in itself has had an impact on the beer going clear, I don't know. Whether I didn't get that second lot of hops in early enough. I didn't use flake wheat, I used normal wheat malt, so I don't know how much of an effect that had. I can't see that would have made a difference, because generally wheat will add some haziness to your brew anyway. Did use New England yeast, Lalbrew, the Lalbrew New England. Now, one of those packs was past its best before, not by much, but it was past its best before. I noticed just as I was going to pitch. Second pack was fine. I pitched 2 packs on the 18 litres. So I don't know whether that's had an impact as well. But I have had comments from a few people since who have said similar things. They've used the Lalbrew New England. This fella. Well, so there you go, that's another packet. That was the same one. Expired best before was the 6th of 2021, so June. So it's only not that far. Yeah. The packs are good and solid. There's no air in them. They're, you know, by the own bloody information from Lalmond, that should be fine to. You know, should have had decent viability and whatnot, even though it is beyond its best. But as I said, the second pack was fresh. So, as I said, other people have said the same thing, that they've used this yeast and their beer has not been hazy. So, I find that quite interesting. But, because realistically, the whole process, everything in the process along the way should all contribute to that haze at the end of the day. So something as simple as the yeast should not really affect that. But that's how we ended up. It's a bloody tasty beer. I'm happy with how it's gone. I obviously, could make a few tweaks to it, but the overall recipe and the ingredients work as a beer. Obviously need to go back and revisit what happened during the process, but the ingredients should have worked, but they didn't. So, but essentially it was a mix of Pilsener and ale malt, mostly Pilsener, whack of oats and some wheat. Just use the old quick oats. Now, again, whether that has any sort of contribution, I don't know. I think next time I'll look at it, I'll put my hand in my pocket and get some naked oats. I don't see that really should make any difference, but just to be sure, as I said, in the wheat, just use normal wheat malt, which should have worked fine. Done the mash on that as per normal. Had a chloride ratio of 3:1. Chloride to sulfates, which is just noticeable in the beer. But that chloride bite, you can pick it, but it's not excessive. So I'm happy with the level. So I'll be looking at my numbers within Brewfather for next time I brew it to work on those same numbers. But basically, it was 3 times as much chloride as sulphate. I don't know the exact number because I haven't got them written here and I haven't got the laptop fired up. Yeah, not sure exactly what the measures are, but I mean that's irrelevant. You need to work that on your own. But that level really did work. But I pushed. Might have been 9. Might have used 9 grams of chloride and 3 grams of calcium sulphate. I think that sounds about right. I think because that was definitely more chloride than I've ever used before, and it's I said the level was good. Hop wise, and again, this could have had to be some contribution to the lack of haze. I had a 30-minute edition of Amarillo, just for a little bit of IBU up front, and there was Galaxy in at 5 minutes. Again, not a real lot, 20 grams. But then the rest of the hops were all there was Citra Flameout, there was Citra and Galaxy in a hop stand, Citra and Eclipse on day 2, and Galaxy Mosaic on day 7. So it was planned to be day 5, but it was day 7. 9. It was in the fermenter in the end for 19 days. Now, again, I don't know whether this has contributed to the problem. Again, I said, I just had stuff going on. I just really couldn't get to it when I wanted to. I cold crashed it on day 14. So it was cold crashing for 4 days. Cold crashing should not affect the haze on an NEIPA. Did it have some impact? Yeah, perhaps it did. But as I said again, ideally I would have had this probably in the keg around day 10. And probably without a cold crash. So that would be sort of what I'll be looking at next time. Quicker turnaround, quicker into the keg, not having the cold crash. See how that went. Original gravity was 1060. Final gravity was 1014. 6% ABV. So yeah, it's right in that bloody middle that sort of acceptable ground for gravity and the ABV. So numbers wise and process, it really ticked most of the boxes. So it just got me stumped where we went. And the only thing I can put out really is the yeast. So next time I do a NEIPA, I'll be using so I want to have a go at the London fog. The last NEIPA I did, which did stay hazy, I used American Ale 2. I think it's American Ale 2, I think that's what they call it. Which was one of the original NEIPA yeasts. But yeah, I think next time we'll be going that London fog and see if that makes a difference. But for now, I've got myself a keg and a few bottles of what's quite tasty brew. If this was poured in a glass where you couldn't actually see it and you didn't know it wasn't hazy, then you wouldn't know any different. Yeah, other than just say, look, it's a light NEIPA. You could possibly almost even drag it down into like a double dry hopped pale ale, sort of thing. Double dry hopped IPA as opposed to a NEIPA, but yeah, that's semantics, and it's simply only because it didn't end up cloudy. for all intents and purposes it's a NEIPA. It's leaving some nice patterning on the glass. But anyway, that's I can see clearly now New England IPA. Little John's, you know, maybe Little John's onto another new style. Maybe it's something. Maybe it'll be the next IPA thing after the cold IPA passes by. We'll have to wait and see. Anyway, that's me done. Hey, trying to get this video up. This is, yeah, been so long without a brew day video, and that was all part of what this was meant to be about. I sat down and tried to edit this video. The video was a mess. It really was. Like I said, wasn't in the headspace when I was going through the process. So yeah, little apology for the lack of actual brewing videos. I'm in tomorrow. I'm sitting down. I've actually, yeah, now got the bar sorted. I've got things going right. Bar's done. Kegerator's up and going. I did start piecing the video that together too, and it got a little bit messy. I think I might actually throw together just a bit of a bloopers video from that. I think that'll be more interesting than the actual real thing. But yeah, brew day tomorrow. Very simple one. I've got the Nano 50 litre pot. Got the false bottom. I'm going to do a brew in a bag. I'm going to throw a bag in it. Do the full volume. Won't be 23 litre batch. It's going to be about a 20 litre batch. So still not quite stepped up to the 3V. Still haven't really got it tuned in. But we'll have a look at that new false bottom. Get a brew in a bag. Nice, simple summer ale tomorrow. So that'll be up. Might be Friday, we'll see. But things are returning to normal. Videos coming, especially brew day videos, coming a little bit more often in the coming little bits of time. So anyway, I'm out of here. So guys, again, as always, thank you to everybody. Thanks to all the supporters. Thanks for watching. So until I see you again, we brew and beer, drinking beer or talking beer, good brewing.